and inviting. Hi, Julie.
Hi.
We are modeling and inviting. We're modeling the value shifts for practicing church's heart-to-heart connection. And we're inviting others to join us. If your heart resonates at all during any of this, if you are like, wow, they're living in ways I've only thought of before, I didn't even have words for, then maybe we're your people, and maybe you should join us. So we have training online. You just go on and sign up for an intro call. You can email us at community@luke10.com. If you want to connect in other ways. And then if you want to help fund this global movement, you can do that on our website or on lk10.com/live. Our website is lk10.com. So either one of those will get you to that place. We are trying to raise $3,000 more in monthly donations, which is huge. Last year, we raised $2,000 a month more. So we thought, well, maybe we could do that and some this year. And it doesn't even cover the shortage that we experience every month. But it would get us closer to making ends meet. And thankfully, we have generous donors who do give one-time gifts pretty regularly. We have in the past that make up that difference every year. So that is how we are still functioning. But we would love to have you join the movement. So that is there. I think that's all by way of Relational Revolution. Now let's orient you to who we are and what we're doing together today. We are another leader team. So if you have been with us at all yesterday, I had one of my leader teams, my Wednesday leader team, and this is my Thursday leader team. So we have intro leader teams. This is the next step after Church 101. If you want to continue training with like-minded, maturing adults, Christian adults who love Jesus, if you want to continue training those relational skills and training in these 5 shifts, then our leader teams hopefully provide a space for us to do that, to mutually disciple one another, to grow together, to form lifelong family bonds with each other, which we have done and are doing. And so our leader teams are incredible places to belong and practice. This leader team in particular. So yesterday, our leader team, we're going through the Emmanuel approach and practicing that. And this team, we haven't gotten to the Emmanuel approach yet because we have had some other agenda items on our agenda. We have been processing what we call our 10 to be round. We've been slowing down and taking space and time for one person to be in the hot seat each time we meet, for us to really educe their 10 to be prayer. What are they praying as far as the harvest? The 10 to be prayer, as you might remember from Luke 10:2, is God, bring more laborers into the harvest that I'm in. And so in Luke 10, we like all of us to have a chance to slow that down and think about and listen to Jesus even in our own heart around who am I praying for really? What's my harvest field? Who am I praying for? And then let the wisdom of the group and our questions, our gentle curiosity, help even deepen that for each individual. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. We'll do our normal rhythms. And when we get to the 10 to be round, we will put Jay Twombly on the hot seat. I've already had my turn. Thank you very much. Victoria's had her turn. And we've got Susan and Julie after Jay. So today is Jay Twombly. Anything else we should add about our group before we take a deep breath and launch into our appreciation stories? We'll introduce ourselves too when we do our appreciation.
Maybe that you don't normally have one guy with 4 girls.
Yeah.
It's just ended up that way.
We lost Travis. That's right. We miss you, Travis.
And Zach.
Yeah. Oh, and Zach used to be on this team as well, and Zach has moved on. And Travis is on a different leader team because he joined his wife. So we are in need of some other masculine presence, I guess, or male presence. We have enough masculine presence in the women that let's go. But some other males would be nice. You don't subscribe to normal gender roles, I guess. Anyway, so yes, we need to listen around that. I'm sure there's some men out there that we can grab. So may God lead us in that. But yeah, thank you, Jay, for hanging in with all these women.
My pleasure.
All right, let's take a deep breath in and ask God, what appreciation story do I want to share today for this group, for mutual discipleship, for giving and receiving, for all that God wants to do in us today? All right. I am Toni Daniels. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been in this leader team for 8 years. And my appreciation story, so many, but so I took a minute to go sit on the porch between calls because I just finished the Mission Circle call. And I noticed that Jay Twombly had posted in our Discord channel a new podcast that I have not seen yet. And so I was like, I only have 10 minutes, but I'm going for it. So put it on 1.5. And as I do, and had the deep privilege of listening to Jason and Chad talk about the relational revolution and in their podcast with that name. And I was sitting there delighted, kind of amazed at our people that like, wow, these are just kind of spontaneous podcasts that are just happening, right? And we didn't do it. We didn't have to meet and plan it, and they're just happening. And I was excited. I was excited about you and Chad. First of all, in your relationship, it just comes out, that connection is so sweet and beautiful. So as I was listening, that warmed my heart. And then I was just kind of like, this is so weird and scary, Lord, because like they're promoting something that I had that I had my name's on, and like that means more people are going to be reading this book, which just for a minute gave me a panic, but it's okay. Yeah, just so the excitement, and just this is crazy that we're all in this together. This is so crazy. So I was proud of you, Jay. I was thankful for your leadership, thankful for you just having this vision and running with it. And I'm excited to hear the other episodes. I only got maybe 20 minutes into that one. So just barely scratching the surface, but I can't wait.
Thank you for celebrating. It feels good. Thank you.
So can I ask a clarifying question?
Mm-hmm.
So I know Chad is starting his own podcast. So was this about Chad's podcast, or was this about your podcast, Jason?
Chad has his own Worship from the Revolution.
Right.
And then separate from that is Relational Revolution with Chad and I, particularly using the Relational Revolution book by John Kent and Toni as a springboard for a little bit of time. And then we'll do some more things. And then I'll start my own podcast. So
okay. So this is the two of you together doing a podcast.
Yes.
Nice.
So is this a kind of a podcast that will have so many episodes and then probably end?
It's possible,
like a series.
Possible we'll get through the contents of the 5 shifts of Rediscovering Church's Heart-to-Heart Connection. We hope to interview the authors. If you have any ins with them, we might ask them if they if anybody knows them. It's hard to access some of these guys. Just kidding, but that would be happening. And then after that, maybe for a season 2, what does it look like to revolutionize your relationship with the Bible, your emotions, your enemies, the LGBT community, just you name it. How do we revolutionize a relationship to these things? Because the church hasn't done such a great job in some of these areas, whatever it might be. And so I hope to have some sequels to that, and it'll probably be a deep dive.
Wow.
Awesome.
Is Chad the piano player that played at the Luke 10 conference?
He is the piano man.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I just occurred to me. I started your podcast, yours and Chad's podcast this morning. So I started the beginning. So I'm like, it didn't even occur to me that was the Chad. Okay.
But
Wow.
Chad,
So sweet that we
But
know him. I'm so glad that we've gotten to meet him and see him and
Wow.
know him. That means a lot to all of us. Yeah.
Mm.
He's also in facilitator training, Julie.
Oh, wonderful.
He was on the
Oh,
common day. So we're super happy to have him, among us. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. All right. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Mhm.
Mine will be brief, but my appreciation is a coaching call that I had this morning. And so I coach people, but I also have a coach.
Hmm.
And so this morning I was coached early in the morning. And I love that coaching is kind of like the new pastoring in some kind of ways. And there's such transformation that happens in group coaching, but also the one-on-one coaching. And so I was able to be seen, be supported, have someone know all of the corners of my life. There's not one there's not one corner that's hidden. And for me, when I coach people throughout the week, I deal with a lot of heavy things, heavy emotions, and interacting with people, and it's a joy. But I'm so grateful to have been afforded this. I've had many coaches, but this particular one is highly transformative for me. And I feel like those spaces in my life where I've missed some areas of development and some skill, I can go back in a safe space and just say, help me as I'm helping others in this really rich setting. So for me, I just feel really supported, really peaceful. For someone older than me in this case can help me mentalize and reframe the pain in my life and maybe the thorns that are there, and I transform that into an alternate story. And I can't imagine myself not having that ever. And it's something I wish I would have known about and had decades prior, because I can't do it alone. Alone is hard, together is better. And I'm grateful for the coaches in my life. So I'm in.
Thanks, Jay. Any curious questions or reactions? I have a reaction, and that is that, I had a hard time finding coaches most of my life that had enough skill to help. And so Luke 10 has been a playground of really mature coaches for me too. So I'm glad that you have found someone, and even outside of Luke 10 now, I know what to look for. I know how to find them.
Yeah.
So that's been a benefit for me, for sure.
so that's something that people, maybe if somebody's watching this and they're interested in maybe talking with a coach or finding a coach, that's something they can contact us about and ask about.
Yes. And also on our website, we have facilitators on there that are listed. And what that means is they've done 80 hours of training with us. And when you're listed on our website, it's Luke 10's way of saying, this person, they're going to be joy-filled and Jesus-led no matter what they're doing, whether it's business, whether it's coaching, whether they're medical doctors. Like, it doesn't matter. Whatever they do, it's going to be joy-filled and Jesus-led. And so we do have some coaches on that site. I think Jay's one of them. And he interviewed, did you interview Hala?
I did, yes.
Hillary. Oh, you did? Yes, I know. I thought it was you. He interviewed Hala the other day, and she's one of our coaches. So we do have a growing network of coaches on our facilitator, on our website. Yeah. So that, and they can reach directly out to the coaches. I'm pretty sure they don't even have to go through Luke 10. Thanks.
I will just say I was on the Luke 10 website yesterday and could not find access to any of them.
Okay, good.
Let me. And I'm familiar with the website, but it's like all I could do was the very basics.
And I don't think I'm on there yet, so I've been waiting for. If Hillary, you're watching, maybe you can put me on.
You need to fill out the form.
I did.
Okay, Zach and Hillary. This summer we need to work on that. And I agree. It isn't easy to find, Victoria. I won't show you right now, but it's like you can only find it on a certain page under a certain drop list. So we need to make sure facilitators is something people can find with one click easily. I'll write that down. Thank you.
I can tell you, all you do is scroll on top of the about at the top of the page, and a list pops up and it says our facilitators. And then you click on that, and that takes you to the map. And then below the map is the list with all the pictures, and you can just click on any of them and it opens up their page. So
Okay, I'll have to go back in and check that out. I clicked on all the tabs and could not get anywhere.
Right.
yeah, you don't
And-
actually have to click on it. You just
Okay.
hover over it and it shows up. So,
Okay.
Yeah, that's the problem, I think.
Yeah.
And if you're on a different page from the original page, I don't think they come up when you hover. Oh, they
Interesting.
do, at least on
They
that one.
do.
The
Okay.
resource page, do they? Okay. But maybe we need a separate tab up at the top that says facilitators. So
Yeah.
they can find us.
Mhm.
That would be great. Thank you. All right. Who's next? Appreciation.
I'll go.
And Julie, introduce yourself. Where are you
yeah.
from?
Right. Julie McKnight. I live in Eastern Idaho. Live kind of right on the border between Jackson Hole, Wyoming and Teton Valley, Idaho. We call it Whiteaho. And I have been with Luke 10 for 4 years now, I think. Gosh. And what I'm really appreciating is, well, we had a facilitators gathering this week, and it was right over. Oftentimes the facilitators gatherings happen when I'm driving my kids to school or picking them up, and I just generally write it off. Like, I know I won't be fully present, so I'm not going to go, I'm not going to sign up. But for some reason this time I felt like the Holy Spirit prompting me to come and just drive and just listen. And so it was very uncharacteristic for me to show up at all. And knowing that I would, have this conflict. But I was excited to be there because I thought Scott Prindle would be there. He is my local Luke 10, one of my local Luke 10 people. And we went through a Church 101 locally a year ago in March. And so he has started facilitator training along with his wife, Laurie. And I was just beyond excited to see if he would show up, and he did. And then, so that was fun. I think that was appreciation in and of itself. But then towards the end of the appreciation check-ins, there was a new person that I had not ever seen or before, and his name is Mel. And he shared about he just, I guess, moved with his family to Idaho, just 30 minutes from me. And they're also a special needs family. And so I was just blown away because for some reason, the starting special needs communities within Luke 10 has been on my heart, and Jason's too, for a long time. And God just keeps bringing it to the surface, and I just feel like it's time to do something about it. So that was just, it felt amazing. I had to pull off the side of the road to turn on my video and just express my elation at Mel being there and what he had to say. So yeah, I just felt, I was so completely overwhelmed. I truly I was fighting back tears. Because it just felt like it, and as Toni mentioned, I've been praying for 3 years. I was praying for a local expression of Luke 10 and to find my people here, and now all of a sudden they're just flooding in. The laborers are coming, they're here, and it's really exciting. And then my local Luke 10 group, not only have we been meeting and going through the rhythms together regularly, but we're starting to do events in our communities to introduce them to a manual approach. And we're going to have an event at the end of June where we talk about this. We talk about Luke 10 and what it looks like to do church as family. So it's just really fun what's happening.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of appreciation.
That is incredible. It's incredible. And, you know, I think back to 3 years ago when we're crying because there's no one.
Right. Right.
Incredible. Wow. What if it's coming? What if all of us are going to be experiencing this in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think so.
I can't imagine. Oh, it's exciting, Julie. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a precious moment for sure. Because I didn't even realize he had moved close to you.
Oh, it's wild.
Incredible. Yeah. Thanks. Susan, you want to go?
Sure. So Susan Ramsey in Naples, Florida. And yeah, this morning I am just appreciating once again my grandmother and her generosity. We're in the condo that she has had gifted to us, which is so great. I think back to the last, not even 6 months, like 5 months, like everything's changed. And we are just so blessed to be here. And this morning I was able to donate a bunch of furniture that we're not going to need here in the condo. And I set it up to donate it to my grandmother's favorite charity. So I know she would have been just elated to know that we're giving to St. Matthew's House. And so yeah, just still surrounded by boxes. Thankfully, none of them are in this picture, but they're everywhere else. But we're just so thankful to be here and to be in a place in our lives where we're settling, and that just feels fantastic. And I have to say I'm looking forward to being the tend to be person, because I now have a very specific tend to be prayer. So it will be lots of fun to share that with you guys and have you join myself and my dad, who's already in on it, praying for a local tend to be expression. So
Very nice. Very nice.
yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And we can share very briefly one sentence, our tend to be prayers today, and then put Jason on the hot seat. That way, Victoria and I can practice sharing articulating our tend to be prayers that we've been working on with y'all, and others can do that. And then Jay will go on the hot seat. Thank you, Susan. I can't wait. Susan, for those who don't know, she's been in an RV for the last year and a half.
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Man, so
2.5
it's a
years,
huge
yeah.
transition. Yeah.
Yes.
Susan, will you keep your RV and still be involved in that culture in any way?
No. So we're going to sell the RV, mostly just because it has stairs, and that's not really doable for Joel. But we will still be in the community because Joel's going to keep working. So we'll still kind of be a part of the community, just not traveling ourselves, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Susan, the RV, if I remember right, was Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
That's the license plate. Yes.
License plate. Do you have you named your house? I do that. Do you do that? Is your condo? Do you have a name, or
It is
would you
not
consider?
named.
Would you
No.
consider naming it and then letting me know if you take me up on that offer? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll think about that. See what
What's
would
the
be
name of your
appropriate.
house, Jason and Victoria?
Petra. The former
Okay.
house was the Shire in New York, but this one's Petra.
Wow.
Sweet.
And did you use sociocracy, divine governance, to come to that name, Victoria, or did we just?
It was very divine. We actually waited for months, if not, months and months, Victoria,
Wow.
for us to come to that. So
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Cool.
Victoria.
Hello. I am Victoria Twombly from South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina. My appreciation is, it's kind of simple, but yet deep in that I went to the gym this morning, took my stretching class. I haven't been as consistent, a lot of stuff going on, but really needed to go and serve my body this morning, and found that as I'm leaning into these really, really deep stretches, normally there's a lot of hesitation and resistance, especially if I haven't been consistent. And there was this, it was kind of there's ease that I felt within my body, and I was paying attention to that. And I really believe it has a lot to do with a lot of the inner work that I've been doing over the past 3 to 4 weeks. It's been kind of intense, and I've been doing a lot of work that I should have been doing probably the last 4+ decades. And a lot has eased within my body, just the stress and letting things go, and the things I'm choosing to focus on, things I'm choosing no longer to give attention to. I noticed that today when I showed up at the gym, and I didn't expect that. And it was easier to breathe even. And I don't usually struggle in the space, but there was just an ease about it. And I don't know, I kind of enjoyed kind of leaning into that and appreciating that, and knowing that even my body is feeling lighter and looser just from doing a lot of inner work. So it was kind of a cool experience. So I appreciated that this morning.
Wow. And it sounds like the feeling words were surprised.
Mhm.
Connected to yourself, it sounds like. What else would you say?
There really was an ease. There's just this ease that I'm feeling, and I've been feeling it in my emotions lately, as well as gosh, I'm trying to think of all these words now. Just mentally and emotionally, I've been feeling it, and I was taking my body for granted, even though I know I know where I hold everything in my body. I usually am aware of where I hold things in my body, but this is the opposite. I've been letting go of things and unblending and doing a lot of deeper work. And so this time I was acknowledging what I wasn't feeling in my body, what had gone away. And that's what surprised me. Because usually I'm aware of, because you feel the tightness, you feel the pain, you feel the stress in your body when you're holding it. And I don't usually feel the ease that I had today, a different kind of ease maybe, but not the one I experienced today. So that was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I hear the surprise. I'm curious how you felt about the ease when you noticed it, right? But was there anything other than surprise, like proud of yourself, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So the word that's been coming up, like if I had to like put a title, like a one-word title on all the work that I've been doing, freedom is the word that just keeps coming. I'm experiencing freedom in a lot of different ways. It hasn't been easy, but I've been experiencing freedom, and I felt even that freedom this morning. It was like in that ease, as I was able to lean in deeper.
Wow.
And not feel the normally I'll lean in and feel my body pushing against me and fighting it, and that wasn't there.
Wow.
And I felt freedom in a space I wasn't anticipating.
Wow. Like almost like your body's cooperating with you.
Yeah.
Like an inspiration, a cooperation, a wholeness, releasing of energy, it sounds like, as well.
Yeah. And because if I'm not walking around all tense and holding all this stuff in or trying to figure things out, I've taken myself out of the figure it out room, and that I'm not even holding things that need to be released. They're just gone. And so there is really just this freedom, and it's really awesome.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. Man, that's beautiful. Any other questions? I was kind of monopolizing the questioning. Any other gentle curiosity for Victoria?
Julie, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Just to hear from you quickly, Victoria, if you were to go back in your church experience on Sundays, for example, God's moving in your life and heart, how would it have changed your life if they incorporated yoga, stretching, body movement during that time? I don't know how it would work. Would that have changed your life?
I think that just having permission to say, hey, you can pay attention to your body and go do yoga, because it's not going to send you to hell, which is what I grew up hearing. It has been a monumental game changer for me, because I ignored my body, and my body was screaming for a lot of things for a lot of time in a lot of different ways. And it just wasn't talked about, and it wasn't encouraged, and it wasn't something that attention was drawn to. And now I give attention to all the things, and I do not neglect my body. And I'm really good at listening to my body now. And if I would have had that years ago, I wouldn't have suffered through a lot of physical illness for decades. And I suffered physically from a lot of illnesses that I wouldn't have had to. I know it would have been different. So yeah.
Matt and I personally would love to belong to a group of believers, vibrant families of Jesus, who came together to do yoga as worship. Matt, we went last Sunday together to the Y to do a yoga class, and we came home. He goes, "Man, that was church. Like you practiced relational skill training, physically with your body, He's like, it just doesn't get better than that."
Yeah. And that's part of my tend to be prayer, is to bring all these things that I'm learning, not just doing for myself, but now training in, so that I can incorporate it and teach everyone how to be aware on all the levels, of our humanity, like tapping into all the levels of our humanity and being able to learn how to serve each one of those well.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's our appreciation round. I think we attuned with each other along the way a little bit. Is there any outstanding attunement that you're like, oh, I didn't share this, but I need to share this, that you're feeling right now? Okay. Then we can move into our listening tend to be round. Because our listening round, it morphs and grows, and it goes into everything. So we don't have to do just a listening round. We can actually listen in all of our other spaces as well. So I've talked about our rounds being like accordions, each round. So you can expand it, you can shrink it depending on the needs and the desires of our hearts. And so we've not shrunk the listening round, but moved it into the tend to be round while we're in this the season of accompanying each other, educing each other's hearts, and listening to God together around your space. So why don't we, those of us who are not Jay, just share briefly what we're praying, what our tend to be prayer is, in one sentence if we can. And I really do need to practice. I know every time I get her, Victoria, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't do my homework. Why didn't I practice? Why didn't I look at my notes? So as best as we can, Victoria, those of us who should have this down.
And I went first, so you think I would really have it down. Okay.
I know, right? So I'll try mine, and then it might morph as I look back over the videos and all that, or notes or whatever we have. So I am praying for God to bring friends of my children, parents who want to be part of a vibrant community of faith, who want to be vibrant families of Jesus, that we can connect and nurture our children together. So that's, I had given up hope, and Susan is helping me not give up hope. So we're still praying for that. And then I'm also praying for God to bring leaders locally who would love to engage with church as secure attachment. So that is my prayer. And I'll share a quick answer to prayer, maybe a tend to be answer. I had coffee on last week with Scott Harris with Mission Impact, I think is where he serves with. And it was just incredible. We had so much fun talking. He is an elder. He's, I think, older than me, been in ministry his whole life. And he now coaches nonprofits in how to become emotionally, spiritually, and financially healthy. And he does that for free because it's a nonprofit and a church funds him, which is really nice too. But he's just a great person. And we talked shop for 2 hours and didn't want to leave each other. And he was eating up everything, church of secure attachment, relational revolution, just so excited about these ideas and these things. And I think he'll be a lumberjack, as John calls it, meaning someone who sends people our way, because he knows like 300 churches in Nashville that he has personally consulted with and nonprofits. So he's like out there. And if anyone is out there with our values, I think he might find them. So that brought me great joy as well. And just watching God work. I mean, he just came to me out of nowhere. I did not go looking for him. So I think that's my tend to be and the answers I'm seeing. All right, Victoria.
All right, I will try to be concise. My tend to be prayer is for a community of women that are ahead of me in everything I'm looking to do and be, and so that I can learn, because I love to learn, and then and that I can do community with and have support in that space, but also for women who are looking to really grow and tap into my passion really is women, and the true identity in Christ is where we're headed. But what does that look like as a human, in this world, in this place, at this time, with where you are, with the baggage you carry? What does that look like? How do we unpack it? How do we take a next step forward towards what we've been called to do? And in that process, part of that process is a whole holistic approach of body, mind, spirit, soul, and how to apply that in your everyday life, and how to become more aware in those spaces and find healing and be able to not just take things for yourself, but to grow so that you can give to others in that space. So it's not that we're holding on to anything. So I want healing and freedom for everybody, but my passion really is for women, and that God would really bring those women that I'm a good match for. Personality type, I might not be good for everybody, but I know that there's women out there that I know that God has for me to do life with, and I'm excited for that. And I would say that maybe this would count as a potential part of a tend to be answer to that prayer, in that one of the group fitness instructors that leads one of the classes I'm currently getting certified in, I didn't ask this of her. She's become my mentor. She's been really great. I did ask her for that, and she jumped on board, was very excited. So, but she texted me a few weeks ago and she said, "Hey, so just so you know, I just went into the GM's office and told them all about you and told them where you're at in your process." And basically she went ahead of her own volition, like I didn't ask her to, and is opening doors for me so that as soon as I'm finished with my certifications, I have a place to step into. And I was blown away by that, because I don't like asking for things. So it really is the grace of God that he would even do that for me, even though I need to get better at asking for things. And I'm not afraid to take risks. It's just, we all cringe sometimes when we know we have to take a step that is different and hard. I'll always do it. But I think this was just a beautiful wink from God, just to say, I see you, I see the work that you're doing, I see how faithful you're being, and it matters to me too. And I'm helping to pave the way so that I don't have to work hard when I get out of all this to go find a place to apply it. I don't know where I'm going to go from there, but at least I have a place to start. So,
Thank you. That's exciting. Incredible.
yeah.
Julie, you want to share your 10 to be with us?
Hmm.
Your prayer. Where's your harvest field and what are you praying for?
Well, I would say the primary harvest field is here in the Teton region. And it felt like I was going solo for 3 years. And and what I'm discovering now is that the harvest has been here all along. And I'm finding more and more people who are like me or feel the same way. And once you find those people to do it together with, everything is so much more joyful. And so I feel like we're in this greenhouse season where we're nurturing that new soil and really paying attention to those relationships and this community that's growing. And so that's really where my heart is, to nurture this new community well, and just to steward all the things we're doing well. And but secondarily, I think the special needs community broadly, globally, is fascinating to me. I'm in a curiosity stage there, what that looks like and how to formulate that prayer for that people group. So yeah, still working it out.
Thank you. At the end of our call, when we're done today, I'm going to ask you to release that, as we do in Luke 10, right? When someone shares an answer to prayer or something God's doing and we're jealous, in Luke 10, we don't have to stay jealous. We get to say, Julie, release it on us, please. And then we just open our hands and wait for God to release his blessing as well. So I'm going to ask you if you'll be willing to release 10 to be answers onto all of us at the end of our call.
Sure. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
May I ask a curious question, Julie? You mentioned finding your people like maybe 3 times. How did you find them? Because that's how I struggle, like, is the finding of the people, unless someone puts them on my doorstep. How did you find these people? All of a sudden, you've got all these people. Where did they come from?
It's so curious to me how it's really about the Holy Spirit going in advance and preparing the hearts, because the people that I'm referring to are people I've shared Luke 10 with over the last 3-4 years. But it was one occasion in which unexpectedly we had a conversation about something entirely different. And then we sort of checked in what's happening. And I mentioned Luke 10 again. And I mentioned the word joy fueled. And that was the word. That was it. It was, wait, what did you say? Because the Holy Spirit had been working on that particular couple on this issue of joy. Mm-hmm. And so that was the key. And that unlocked, what the journey. So it's really just letting it go into God's hands and being available. And so that relationship led to meeting another couple, which led to meeting another, so it's growing that way. It's
wow.
So you didn't have a plan. You didn't have this is what I'm going to do every day, walk the neighborhood, pray for people, knock on doors, invite people over to my house. Like, you're literally just doing life with your eyes open, wide open, being available, paying attention, looking for God moving, and being you.
Yeah.
In every relationship you have.
And it's also given me this expectation every conversation I have. You just never know one conversation what will happen. So I have this hope and expectation that I didn't have a year ago. So
it's almost like a relational revolution of sorts.
All right.
Amazing.
How about that? Yeah.
I think the hardest part, and Julie and I've talked about this a lot. I don't want to take up too much time though, because we're going to hit with Jay today, but Julie and I've talked about this a lot over the years of, yeah, but what if God doesn't want to bring 10 to be answers right now? Like, what if that's not in his plan for 3 more years? Like, but yet it took 3 years for those 10 to be answers to become ready. So had she not been who she was the 3 years before, they wouldn't have made it to that moment where they were finally ready. So it is a strange thing to cooperate with the divine and other people.
And what's curious to me is it's people that I've known, that I knew in other circles and other seasons of my life, all of a sudden we're coming back together and realizing
Mm.
that God has been doing work within each of us that brought us back into this new season together.
Wow.
It's really fun.
Thank you. All right, Susan, what's your new 10 to be prayer in a minute or two?
Yeah, so so it has morphed and grown, but it started out when we moved here to the condo. We're a part of a community called Naples Bath and Tennis Club, but the club itself is actually owned by a tennis academy, and so the residents in the community aren't able to use it. So we can't use the pool, we can't use the tennis courts, the club, anything. Well, I heard a rumor that it is for sale because the academy is not doing well. And so I started praying that someone would come in and purchase the club and kind of restore it to the community of residents. And as I started praying that, I started realizing, wait a minute, this is like the perfect place to have a Luke 10 community. And so I was like, okay. So I started praying for that. And my dad reminded me, he said, you know, for 16 years, your grandmother had a Bible study right there in that club every Monday morning.
Wow.
And he said, you know, wouldn't that be cool if the legacy continued and there was a Luke 10 community that met in the club with people that live right here so that we could actually do life together. And so so that's what we're praying for. My dad has joined me because he was also sharing a longing for a local expression of Luke 10 that we can be in community with.
Wow.
And so we have it's a built-in community, so we got the perfect setup.
Incredible. I can't wait to unpack
Yeah.
what those 10 to be answers will look like. So
Yeah,
we'll do that next meeting. Hopefully we'll stick you in the hot chair.
Okay.
That's exciting.
Sounds good.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
All right, Jason, we will
Mhm.
have you. Do you want to share a little bit first, and then all of us listen, and then us ask you gentle, curious questions? Does that sound like a good way forward? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Do you want to
that's.
listen first for yourself on your 10 to be prayer? What do
I
you
did.
think?
I did a little bit of that this morning, so I'm
Okay.
going to give you like a 3-minute overview,
Okay.
and I look forward to some brilliant questions from you all and some exquisite listening. So for me, I've worn different hats over the years in ministry, so I could flow in the APEST world here, there, and it looks different all of the time. But the phrase that I say to myself each morning about what I'm doing in the second half of life is that I passionately touch hearts and train minds through my coaching, consulting, and writing to build communities of belonging and bliss. And some of the ways that I do that, and following the Spirit as it always seems to be winding here and there, is I show up as a spiritual development coach. And the Lord sends to me men. And so I help men transform their pain into power, their hurt into healing, and their wounds into wisdom. And so I do that through coaching one-on-one and also group coaching through my Man Cave course. And I find a lot of great pleasure in that. The other prayer that I have is, Lord, send me apostles to train as a Luke 10 trainer. So I'm a trainer of trainers with Luke 10. And I find that as a real sweet spot to my design, staying in my lane. And the Lord has been so good to send me his choicest of people, of men and women. And training is a space where I discover best where my clients may be missing even other further services of my coaching and consulting to build and mature their personal growth. So coaching, training, and then facilitating is like just swimming in the ocean with lots of joy that I get to do with Luke 10 and lots of different spaces. Just two other things that are newer to me to add to the mix is I've had on my heart, and I've shared it with this leader team as well, but I want to build a meditating community, a community of contemplation, a community of Emmanuel meditation, of meditation. And that would be a community of heart-to-heart connection where together we find calm in the chaos. And I want to build a space to reflect, contemplate, meditate, journal, ask brilliant questions, and to get beneath the stormy, frenetic actions of the mind, those thoughts, to the quiet place within. And I really could do that full time. So I really enjoy that. Haven't quite created the full expression of that. And then lastly is podcasting. And so I've been waiting to build a podcast, just started this one. We did our 5th episode, The Relational Revolution with Chad. That's not the one that I wanted to start. The one I want to start is another one called the Take Heart podcast. And so I really feel like there's going to be people that I haven't met yet that I'll help distinguish the noise of Christianity from the signal of Christ. And in this age of deconstruction and the cacophony of what's this and what's that, what's being said, I feel like the Lord wants to use my voice on some of these podcasts to find the signal of Jesus from the midst of the jargon and the stuff of Christianity. And in that, they'll hear him saying, take heart, take heart. And those are the spaces I think that I want to ask the Lord to send me champions. And so lastly, the people that I know that I pray for are champions. C, coachable. H, hungry. A, attentive. M, motivated. That's not my job to motivate them. P, present. I, intentional. O, open. And nurturing. I'm praying for champions to be sent to me. So I know my yes is my yes and my no is my no. So that is a good springboard to some of the people that I'm praying for.
What was the I?
Intentional.
That's good.
And I have countries and other things too, places, and so, but maybe that's enough to start with.
Wow.
But curious questions, clarifying questions, and gentle, curious questions. Jason, in all of that, you didn't specifically mention a local expression. So I would love to hear, I mean, you have Chad, which is super fun in Victoria. Right. So you have, and Chad's wife. So you actually have at least another couple to practice these crazy things with locally, which is more than most of us have. So I'm curious, is that all you want locally? And you're happy to just engage in all those other areas because that's a lot of work already and a lot of life and a lot of relationships. Or do you also go, no, I think I'd love to have a local thing that's a little bigger, that might be more families. Maybe you don't see yourself pastorally caring for it, but maybe you're a part of it. Just curious what that looks like for you when you think of it in the future. Absolutely. Great question. I love to pastorally care for people and move into those spaces, but I also like to activate and to start things. And I don't necessarily like staying in one space for a long time. So I'm a missionary at heart. And so as I might be moving into more of a consulting role with churches and organizations and families, I can see myself equipping spiritual moms and dads here to do what's inside of their hearts, and then also fly to these other places around the world to help them do that and sort of boomerang. But also being here, I want to go ahead and build out there and also have a place of blessing here. And that could be with a small group of people where we gather, do some worship, some listening to Jesus, fully knowing that it could be something people are hungry for it. And I know that there could be a lot of interested parties here locally, but I want to pay attention to the weight of that. Yeah. Yeah. So if you were praying for a 10 to be answer, it would be someone who would carry that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That God would have someone who really wants to do something like that. So you can participate when you want to, but and have something that that you feel supported from,
Yeah.
but that you're not responsible for.
But I can train them and show them how to do it.
Yes, that would be me too. Well, as I listen to you, I think of like I think Band of Apostles just keeps coming to mind. Most of Luke 10 is right now, currently, most of us are apostles. We just meaning we want global impact. We want to train every church in the city. I don't want to just be in one. Like, how can I be contained to one little bitty congregation?
Yeah.
You don't see impact that way, no. Although you do, and I understand that, and we're very pastoral as well. You and I both, as well as prophetic. But there's just this goodness gracious, yeah. There's no way. So that prayer, then, God, if you want this locally here in Greenville, bring
Yes.
a pastoral team even that asked me to train them.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
And as far as your needs go, you probably have what you need with Chad and his wife and Victoria, like a small band of brothers that love me and care for me, and Luke 10, and that's I got what I need.
I'm happy.
That's beautiful. Any other questions? Yeah.
I think as you were speaking, the one thing that landed for me with greater weight was the podcasting, the Take Heart, the meditation, or no, was that part of it, meditation community?
Yeah.
What would that look like? And I suppose that it caught my attention more so because I was a recipient of you leading me through a meditation that was really healing for my heart and like physically healing. So I'm just curious to know more about what that would look like for you as a podcast, and if you would be open to a video, kind of having a video of some beautiful landscape or something, nature, while you're speaking, and what would that look like?
That would be an answer to prayer, the very thing you just mentioned. And so it would look like this. I have guided meditations that I've recorded. I use them actually as the foundation for my men's coaching, because there are deeper places that I think God wants to take us, more majestic places where our heads can't fit, that only our hearts can take us. And so I find that I help men or anyone connect to their hearts. So I would show up live, maybe once a week. I would invite anybody who wants to come, and I would devote like an hour. I would put it on Zoom, whatever it might be. People would come for an hour. I would give people some prompts, and then we would, through my voice, we'll have a guided meditation. And I've had good feedback from what that's done for people. And I love to use our sanctified imagination and use what might be a Lectio Divina, looking at some scripture. And it's also engaging our body, our nervous system. I love to help our nervous system to catch up with our theology. So we can talk about peace, we can talk about this and joy, but what does it look like in our bodies? And after these sessions, we interact with the streaming live presence of God with Emmanuel. And so I would probably lead people for the first half hour through a meditation. And then after that, maybe set a timer for them to journal and with Emmanuel, with their hearts, with really good crafted questions to bring them into the interior landscape of their lives. And then after that, I could see just a lot of people coming to this, and it would be part of the Take Heart community. And I may call it Take Heart Meds, where you get your meds, Take Heart Meds, a bit of, but I can see the time where you can create the landscape of beauty, and my voice would be behind it. And I'd like to put that on some social media platforms.
Yes, and amen.
Thank you. It's changed my life, meditation.
Yeah.
Other curious questions? So Jay, I'm hearing what you would like to do or what you see yourself moving into, and I'm hearing the audience that would be for. And I'm wondering if there's another group here that are people to help you get from here to here, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And what those people, what those needs are, who are those tend to be answers? Who do you need to help these things move into fruitful action, communication, whatever it is that you need? Maybe an artist, to do design could be one of them. But what other things do you see yourself needing for you to be able to step into these things that will help that be easier, right?
I think that question just threaded the needle of what I have not been praying for. So thank you for that. And that is on the Enneagram, I'm a 4, which means I have a wild, vivid imagination, but I have a repressed doing center. So I can dream forever. I could activate other people, but I could also create for myself forever and not showcase that. And so I'll need some other folks to help me, like this session of asking questions. I love that so much. But I would need someone to help with tech, someone to do coordination to organize it, someone to do the artwork, and maybe even just a little bit of social media, if that's, I don't even think that's necessarily required. Just a team of people, and also other people who would want to be trained in what I do. I love to train people while I'm doing it. And maybe someone to shoulder it with me if they were interested, where they can sub in, get a different voice. I don't need my voice to be the only one. And so maybe a team of people who would want to, I tell you, with all of the people in the relational revolution, like Toni on your podcast, I could really see a space for the people who are just pouring out. And I just would love to have them gather under the wings of Abba in swaddled shalom and just receive for an hour once a week. Have them come and go and just receive from that space. And I think there are many facilitators, trainers, Emmanuel approach people that need that to be poured into them. And I could see that space designed for them.
Beautiful. So can I pry? Does anyone else have another question? If you do, go for it, and then I'll continue.
Yeah, I'll just say, Jason, I am 100% on board with whatever you're doing. And if you ever need help, if you need a visual storyteller to come alongside you, 100% yes from me. I just am so excited about what you're doing. And Victoria too. I would be nothing but thrilled. There's something the two of you carry and release that I want. And I'm just 100% on board with whatever, just to come alongside, no charge, just to be a part of learning from you and growing with you. So anyways, I'll just throw that out there.
I got it. I'll remind you of that too. Thank you.
That's beautifully generous. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
I guess my one question is there's a lot.
Yeah, there is
in that. There's a lot. And so I'm sitting here quietly, it's hard to have curiosity. I mean, I literally live in this space where, I'm in the process with him all the time. So it's hard for me to even come up with another curious question. So it's not my lack of interest. It's like, I just don't even know. However, I will bring one of the common conversations we have to the forefront and say, this is a lot of things. What is the one thing that rises to the top if you had to start to get it going? The rest we can add as we go. Like, what would be the prominent thing?
Yeah, I can answer that really quick and twofold. Not to mess with your minds, but the one thing that I want to do, I didn't even mention yet, and that's writing. I'll go away and I just want to write. So that being said, that's my passion. Didn't even mention it. That's another day. But secondly, the one thing that really rises to the surface when I close my eyes in the secret place with Jesus, I can like John, the beloved, I could put my head to his chest and I could hear his heartbeat. John 16:33, take heart, and the whole verse. It's so powerful that happens to me every time. And so when I close my eyes to meditate, I can feel the heartbeat of God saying, take heart to the world. I can see things like that. And so meditation, this take heart community where we can find calm amidst the chaos, to me is something that pops up every single time I close my eyes.
So Jay, I'd like to ask you a few questions then about this. So you're talking about a Take Heart community, and then you mentioned a Take Heart podcast. And so are these two different things for you? Are they the same thing? Is the podcast connected to the community? Is it?
Yes, it'll be the same. And I could use a coach to help me present this, whether it's through Substack, where that's a newsletter where you can have, a few things free, have a little subscription. And I need some help discerning that. But I want to make it easy for people to access this. I want to have some free opportunities. At the same time, I need to make a living as well. And so I do have a Take Heart community on one platform already, but I don't really do much with it other than house my leader teams.
Okay. So I'm curious, how did you activate the Relational Revolution podcast so quickly, especially when you weren't even thinking of doing it? How did that happen?
Victoria,
The only way a thing's going to get done with a 4 is if you have an 8 come in and do it for them and get it going and invite them into the process.
I mean, I wasn't going to say that. I was.
But it is so true. Literally, you can't ask. You just come in and you do, and he jumps in and he'll participate.
Here it is real fast. Holy Spirit tapped him on the shoulder, asked me to do this, just do this and I'll start. Anyway, so I'm like, yes, I'll do this podcast now and this one also. And then I mentioned it to Chad. He's like, yeah, let's pray about it. That I prayed about it. The Lord's like, yes. We meet for an hour or two outside of my patio. We formulated the whole season or 2 seasons within an hour of incredible collaboration. So an Enneagram 8 is my friend.
Okay. So I'm going to say that your main I am observing. I'm not going to I don't pronounce this. I'm observing that it seems to me like your 1 10 to be prayer, if you had one at all, would be for an activator. It doesn't have to be an 8. 7s activate, 3s activate, 1s activate, and 8s activate, right? But you need an activator. Someone that, just like Chad, obviously you can't activate everything with Chad, although maybe he wants to activate everything. I don't know. 8s can do a lot. But I would say, if I were you, I would be begging God for an activator to join me in Take Heart. Who is my Chad for Take Heart? And then keep your eyes open. Jesus, God, bring me a Chad for Take Heart. Bring me an activator. Bring me somebody who can help me implement what's the vision you're giving me, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's not going to happen. It's going to stay in your realm of ideation and be thwarted, right?
Yes.
I would say that about your writing as well. That God would bring you someone who you can collaborate with in your writing that would give you enough structure and enough accountability, and then be able to get what you've written to publication, or at least get it into, a completed offering, or get you with a publisher, right? Like someone who's like, Jay, let's just present this to several publishing companies and get you with a publisher, because then you'll have some deadlines and you'll have to meet them.
I need them.
But if that's not who you are, right?
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need that person or people. It might be various different people. Just like an artist just stood up and said, well, I'll help you with the art. Wow. Okay. Maybe it's various people, but that's where I would focus your 10 to be praying if I were you. That makes sense.
Yeah, I resonate with that. Brilliant. Thank you.
So what do we call these people? Activators? What do you want to call them if we're praying?
I think that's a powerful word.
It's a really powerful word.
Yeah,
Right.
love it.
So God.
But I also heard you say earlier that you activate and ignite people. So what's the distinction between that side of you and what you're looking for?
Yes, I would say this. spiritually in my spiritual development coaching, I can catalyze and shift worlds and atmospheres and activate realities there. In this space, it's hard to do that on my own, and I'll need someone to do that for me.
Physically.
Physically, yeah, in these things we're talking about. No doubt. Good question.
Yeah, I'm like that too as a 4. I'm like, I need an activator.
And
All
think
right.
I think I'm adding as part of my 10-2B prayer for me, that for him, because his wife has been trying to play these roles and she can't like straddle her 10-2B prayers and be the answer to his 10-2B prayers. So when you jumped in, Toni, and you were like, this is the space, I'm like, yes, freedom at a whole new level.
Isn't that the truth? Oh, isn't that the truth, man?
Yeah, but he shows up very excited and prepared for, like, Chad runs, he's showing up and doing all the things that Jay essentially hates to do, right? He doesn't enjoy doing, and that steals that part of the joy. And Chad's showing up like, all right, I got this. So then Jay gets to show up really just offering what he what he is designed to do. And that's where the sweet spot is. And this is the first time I've actually seen in our little over 5 years together, the first time I've seen someone actually come in, swoop in, and like just not even offer, again, to say, I'm going to do this. And in the collaboration, you just got to bring you, and that works. That there's no hemming and hawing or stress or anything. It literally flows. I haven't really gotten to see it to this degree in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And so to think that could happen, even for any of us, honestly, we all have that particular need. It might look different. It might not be an activator. It might be a different kind of support, but we all have that space that we can't fill for ourselves. We just can't. And so for Jay, it's an activator. I kind of think I might need to clarify more what mine is for me, but I know that I have those sluggish spaces because it's not what I enjoy. So to have that activator come in for you kind of just activated something in me, the idea of that.
Wow.
Because it's the possibilities. It's been explosive with the podcast, The Relational Revolution. You guys have you've put out so much in a short period of time, because no one's carrying all the weight. You're both bringing equal parts of what you do. Yeah.
Thanks, Victoria. That's powerful. So, Jay, if you had to think about, I'm going to just name these. You say you do coaching, training, facilitating. You've got this other podcast, but this meditating community and this Take Heart podcast seem to be what's a driving passion, I would say, and maybe not, but that's what we've kind of been discerning together, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Who all these things are for, your champions, and you're praying for them. What type of activation or activator do you feel like you need? And maybe it's different ones in each space, but if we just focused on the meditating community and the podcast, what's your what do you feel drawn to do first? Is it write a book? Is it start the podcast? Or is it start meditation communities? Or maybe it's a blog? But what do you feel like, okay, this, and maybe that's what you need as a coach to help you discern all of that. But I don't know. But what, if you had to say what your first need is, what would it be?
I think I know. I don't know what I don't know, but for me, the way that I'm wired, God made me to write. So I write to find out what I think. I write to find out what I think about. So I have to slow down. And so if I had some sort of a Substack newsletter, use that as an example, from that place of writing, the inkwell of my pen, it flows into meditation, contemplation, and then from that one explosive creation will come the podcast, and I can it starts from that place.
So what would you need then? What type of person or skill do you need to be able to create a Substack newsletter or figure out how that happens?
I was just thinking about the fun circles we've been doing within Luke 10 and the whole idea of divine governance. And if I had 1, 2, 3, 4 people who could meet with me for like 6 weeks in a row, as an example, every Tuesday, and just devote like an hour or 45 minutes, I don't know, and just to wrap our hearts and minds around this one thing and just activating it, could be it.
Okay, but who are those 4 people? What are they gifted at? What do they know? What knowledge do they bring that you don't have, that you need, or skills?
Julie in the artistic area, for sure. Maybe someone who could just help me with a bit of just tech questions.
Okay, so someone who might know something about Substacks.
Yeah, like that. Just yeah, I would because I can get caught up in that. So art, the tech, and there's one more thing. That would be a good start. Yeah, the whole
How to
connection.
make it financially viable.
Yes, yeah.
Someone who might have some understanding of how do you make money off your Substack, even how do you do this? Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's not super complicated.
Okay.
And then I have a question kind of bouncing off of Toni's original question when she mentioned, like you mentioned writing, but when you were talking about writing, like these other things coming out of that, I wasn't sure if Toni was referring to like writing in a sense of like a book and having like, with that be a goal? Because a Substack would be kind of a different goal.
Good question.
Because all these other things coming out of your journaling writing to writing what you think,
right,
is still birthing many paths, and then to bring it down to figure out what that one thing is going to be.
I got it. Good question.
It sounds like 2 different things.
Yeah, well, I'll coalesce it with this answer, hopefully. I feel like there's many books inside of me over the years, and the time will come when I get them out there. And one of the ways I could do that is through a Substack. And in the newsletter, I can offer my chapters. I have a book called Jesus Comforts, where it's a devotional piece. I can offer those chapters there, and that'll give me kind of a deadline. Some people, it could be free, it could be part of the subscription if you want to see what it looks like, and I can create my book in flight. And so I think I could be doing that within the same context. And then, as Victoria knows, once I start a streak, it's hard for me to unbreak that streak. And so I just need to get a streak on this particular writing flow.
And then would it be too much to suggest or assume or whatever, think that maybe as you release a chapter that maybe your meditation would line up with that, so that everything, so you're not having to create a different thing here and a different thing here and a different thing here, but that everything's connected?
Oh, you know me, I can only do one thing at a time. So that would make sense. It would be connected to one theme probably.
It's good. What's the one thing that you can start doing right now, even though you don't have that team?
For sure, praying over the different matters that we talked about. Like I could start it tomorrow. I can go on Zoom and start tomorrow. But
well, you could start writing, right? Because that's what you talked about just now, is your lifeline, is writing. Yeah. So which you probably already have. But like literally, if you were to sit down tomorrow and think this is going on a Substack Monday, you know, would you be able to write something for that Substack?
And,
you know, so that once you actually have a plan for where to host it, how to host it, how to make it, you've got like 10 already done and you're ready to rock and roll, right? So
it would give me incredible joy. There's no discipline involved. It's pure delight. Wake up early, spend a chunk of time over that. And I could do that for the next decades. Love it. I just need those track to run on.
Yes. He has so much material already. It's nauseating.
Yeah.
Like he could never write again in his life and have way more enough material. I mean, it's just where he lives. He lives in that writing space. He could totally do it yesterday.
So I've written down four areas where it seems like you need God to bring people in. Okay. One is someone who can give you the track to run on. Like maybe it's a coach. Maybe you meet with them once a month or once every 6 weeks. They lay out your 6-week plan. and you check in with them to make sure you're on target. Maybe it's once a month. I mean, our self-publishing coach, we've been meeting maybe every 3 weeks with them. And it does help because you got that meeting coming up and
Yeah.
you have so many things you have to get done before that meeting. And it just really prompts you to do that, right?
Love that.
So maybe you need a coach. Might have to pay for that like we did, but that's something you might be looking for. God, who could give me a track to run on and maybe just, or even just hold me accountable to a track we've already agreed I'm going to run on. But that sounds incredibly helpful for you, because it sounds like you get distracted to some degree with whatever work is in front of you. You know, it's like, well, I'll just do what I have on my plate today because I have a million things to do already.
Sure.
And it's hard to keep the main thing, so to speak. So coach, someone who knows something about tech and financial, how to make this somewhat financially sustainable and how to post it, where to post it. And like you said, it could be someone who just watches a few YouTube videos and understands Substacks. You know, it could be interviewing Zach and Kristen LaValle because she does this on Instagram, right? Like, I don't know how to do it, but she's done it. So maybe it's asking someone for an interview. It's that simple, and getting whatever source materials they have that they used. I don't know. And then branding, which sounds like Julie is offering, giving you some branding, helping you make this look good so that whenever you do enter into the world, you'll look professional. You look as good as you are. I think that's what Hillary gave us. She said, Toni, you and John and Kent, what you're doing is amazing, but it looks unprofessional and it doesn't look amazing. And people are going to, unfortunately, they judge a book by its cover, you know, so to speak. So she makes our leader teams look amazing, our leader team lessons. She makes everything look amazing. And her and Zach have branded us in a way that looks good. And I think that's what I'm hearing. Julie, I don't know if you were really offering that, Julie, but I hear that you're like, I could probably make it look good. In whatever way, in meditation images and a logo, I don't know, whatever. That sound like some good stuff, and you can be playing with that and then put it on Discord, what your number one, what you want us joining you to beg God for.
Yeah, super helpful. Yes, thank you.
Great. All right, we are almost out of time. Any other comments about that? Questions or feedback for Jay? Thoughts?
I guess my only question is there anything that has like risen to the top in you that you like felt overwhelming?
Yeah,
like,
I was going to
resonation with in all of this.
Yeah, it's it felt like the threading the needle of the prayer was these three things. It was these three things to make the two things meet, to make that bridge there. And so I'm really excited about that. And yeah, that's it. So I think this was a missing piece. So I'm really grateful.
Thanks. Julie, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was curious if you're, you talk a lot about your men's ministry. Is the Take Heart meditation community, is that going to be men, or is it open to everyone?
Yeah, it's actually both. So I'm creating a Take Heart journey, which is like a church one-on-one experience. Maybe Jason mystical, but also practical style. And then that's the onboarding for men and women. So there's meditation there, and the Take Heart meditation community will be men and women. So yeah.
Okay. Yay.
And then further one-on-one or group stuff with men in my Man Cave program. So men and women at one level, and then men at another level.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Beautiful.
I learned a lot as well too.
So why don't we do our closing round, Jay? You kind of give us a closing. I mean, you did already about what was most helpful for you. So anything else you might want to say about that? But let's take 20 seconds. And Julie, if you could pray and release God's blessing of 10 to be answers in these areas for Jay, and in all of our 10 to be answers that we're begging God for. And then we'll do our closing round. How does that sound?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. You want me to start? or we're
As
just
soon
listening?
as you're ready, we can listen for like 10 or 15 seconds to our closing, just so we have that ready, and then pray. Mm. 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 Mm.
Yeah, just pray. I thank the owner of the harvest. I just thank you for just thank you that it's easy. It doesn't have to be hard. And I thank you that you're always with us, and you're always activating and moving through us, and you're doing things we don't see until we see it, and then we're dazzled by it. So I thank you for what you're doing in my local community. Just for opening our eyes.
Mm.
And I thank you for the vision, just for the individual uniqueness that you put in all of us, and that you use us so perfectly. And when those pieces come together, those people find each other, it just gets really exciting. So I just release all of what you're doing here in the Tetons, even though we're just in the very beginning stages. Just release that to everyone's community, that that Susan and Toni and Victoria and Jason, that they would see an increase that's tangible among them. Your people would emerge. And we just beg you for all of the richness and the goodness and the treasures that you're releasing to them would just be evident, just even this week.
Mm-hmm.
To just see just tangible release of what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, and for this commando team, for Jason to just accelerate what you put in his heart. And thank you that seed that is from you, and just to find the people to help steward that and nurture that and grow that and create that greenhouse effect around Jason and what he's doing.
Yes.
Yes, thank you in advance for the people that you're sending.
Yes. Amen.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Takeaways. My takeaway is, Jay, I just see you so full of wisdom, riches, to offer the world. I mean, everyone who would receive from those riches. And I'm thinking, handmaid's the worst word probably, but midwife. I know y'all call the midwife, but I just feel like you need a team of midwives around you
Yes,
to
yes.
birth these things into the world and
Yeah.
nurture them with you and pay attention to them. And so, yeah. Anyway, I'm taking the fullness of you, and then I'm picturing this birthing team around you. May it be so. Thank you.
Yeah, I just celebrate you, Jason. I celebrate your design. I was reminded, when I started listening to your podcast, how so often you'll say things I have to go back, like, wait, let's go back a couple times just to hear the way you put words together. It's just beautiful. And you really are a great storyteller, and it's really the story that taps into that heart of God, who is the ultimate storyteller. And so I thank you for your ability to put words together that are so meaningful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bless that journey you're on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I'm taking away, I'm encouraged just by being able to sit and witness, we share a life, a household, been in all the details. And it's a relief as well as fun to be able to watch the others kind of dream around it with him, and instead of being so deep in it, to actually sit in the observer seat and to be able to see that, okay, you don't have, because I'm so highly capable, I don't have to do all the things. And that people are suggesting, well, there are other ways and there are other people, and seeing possibilities, and even like his face light up in the fact that there's possibilities, and to be able to sit as an observer to that, instead of being in the figure it out room trying to figure out how we can make it happen. I'm like, oh, right here, just on this call, there was a community that entered in, and I actually got to kind of sit back and breathe through it and observe it. And that was really powerful for me, because I don't get to fully witness if I'm in it. I can, but there's limitations. I felt like I was able to more fully witness it today. So there's a lot of gratitude around that.
So glad. Thank you, Victoria. Susan.
Yeah. I really appreciated, Toni, when you kind of stepped back and started helping Jason kind of outline, what do you need to do this? And it became apparent that, yeah, Jason does need somebody to come alongside and help him while he's being fully him, help him to see these things through. And I just loved how that worked out, how open Jason was to it. Like, yeah, I know I need that. And so I think that was I know you weren't trying to do that, but I think it was a perfect picture of coaching, just kind of hearing what he's saying and then kind of helping him think through, okay, what do you need to do that? What's necessary there? So it was just really fun to kind of see you put your coaching hat on and step into that. And then obviously how open Jason was to, yeah, that is it. I accept that. And I agree with that. So, yeah.
Thank you. It's beautiful. Jay, I'm just curious too, how much of our equipping circle should hear what's on your heart and the things that you long to do, so that we as an organization know how to best support you too. So maybe we can do that in our next meeting with the equipping circle.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say a deep thank you to you all, and I look forward to praying the prayer that I'll craft and then doing, so that I can. And what came to me, maybe my closing, was I was reminded that, and I was able to see it. I felt like the Lord was reminding me that I don't write to get to his heart, but I write from the place of his heart. I write from his heart. And for me to do that as the beginning to all of the other things, I'll need those commandos, that team around me. And I think I experienced it already as a foretaste of what's to come, so I could stay in my sweet spot. So thank you, ladies, for deeply, deeply serving me. Forever grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. A pleasure and an honor as always. Love you guys. If you haven't signed up, I think there's one session coming on next, and I'm not quite sure what it is. Sorry, 1 second. Today's Thursday. It is Living the Revolution with Josie. What if our kids were not an interruption? That is going to be so good. Don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
Oh, yeah. And then we have at 5 p.m. Central Time, our celebration. You have to register and join us. So if you have not signed up for that yet, the sign up form is it's in Discord under the general for our Discord. All of y'all are in that. You should have gotten an email about it yesterday. I'm sure you can find it on my Facebook page, on my Instagram as well. So go find your sign up so you can be a part of our celebration after hours. There's new people that I don't even know that have signed up. We have like 16 as of like 3 hours ago that had signed up. So I haven't even checked it recently. We're capping it at 30. So if you haven't signed up, do so. I look forward to being here with everyone at that time. Talk to y'all soon. Love y'all.